Howdy everybody, this is old Gare. Me and old Catfish Rick are out here at Lake Taneycomo today, and we've got a pretty good report to pass on to you. And I tell you what, Lake Taneycomo is awesome in the summer months because the water temperature when Rick and I pulled up here at Monkey Island to start this morning was 49 degrees. You know, all that cold water coming out below Table Rock Dam, and then it flows through Taneycomo. It's always cool water. And then once in a while you get a breeze over that cool water. Feels good in the summer, that's for sure. We're going to be talking about Lake Taneycomo. The trout fishing's been fair out here. They're not so much on power eggs. I threw jigs this morning, didn't do any good. But night crawlers, earthworms has been the ticket out here. We'll be talking about this, and want to thank you for being with us today. And we want to thank all you viewers last week. We had over 10,000 views last week.
Yeah.
God bless you. Thank you very much. That's awesome for this time of the year. Well, like I said, we're out here at Taneycomo. We're opening up the show. We're going to be back. Actually, when we come back, we're going to be at the fishing shack and give you the fishing reports from Beaver. Not too bad of fishing out there. We had a fair report from Table Rock, also here at Taneycomo, and we're going to be talking about bull shoals, fair fishing out at Stockton, and out at Truman Lake on the main lake this week. There's been several nice walleye caught. We'll be visiting about this and some crappie out at Truman as well. And then we'll be talking about the upper end of the Lake of the Ozarks down below Truman, and Lake of the Ozarks, some pretty good crappie fishing and bass fishing out there. So we have a lot to talk about on this week's Fishing Chums Fishing Report. This is old Gare. We're going to be back at the fishing shack right after we go down the river.
Fish and Chums!
Okay, we're back at the old fishing shack, and my gosh, it's hot out there. My golly, be sure to if you're going out the next few days through the weekend, be sure to take plenty of water because it is brutal, I'm telling you. We were out at Lake Taneycomo, my old buddy Catfish Rick and I. We just got back, caught a few trout. It was a little tough. And we'll be talking about Taneycomo. If you want to do some trout fishing the upcoming weekend, tell you right what to do. But let's go out, start our reports. And once again, I want to thank you very much for being with us today. We have a good reports for here we are in the middle of July when we're in the summer patterns. And it can be tough, but there's some fish being caught. We have some pretty good reports for you. And by the way, stick around for the whole report because at the end of the program, Brandon and I have selected some real fun, cool photos for you to look at. It's going to be fun, okay? All right, let's go out to Beaver Lake. 88 degrees on the surface out there this morning. And they've been picking up some fish. Had some reports of a few crappie being caught around some of the docks. And we've had some reports of bass fishing fair for the few people going out bass fishing. Topwater, a little action in the morning hours early. Pop-hours have been doing pretty good, and a few fish have been picked up on the old walking the dog, on spooks. And are also bass fishing, pitching some plastic worms, Texas style, up in some of that new brush areas, picking up some nice bass. And at times, if you happen to find any wind on some of the points and secondary points, square-billed crankbaits have been working as well. Say, I tell you what, I had a report from Hooked On Fishing Guide Service, and they've been picking up some walleye on the points and secondary points, trolling some crankbaits, and there's some nighttime activity out there as well. So check out Beaver for the upcoming weekend. All right, let's go out to Table Rock. Golly, some pretty good fishing taking place there. And that reminds me, let's go to our photo of the week. Get out of the way, Gare. Tricia Tucker. How about that, Trish? Good little fishing gal. She can catch them. She was out the other day, just a couple days ago, and picked up these nice bass on peanut butter and jelly football jig. And boy, I tell you what, when it's real bright and clear, it's real tough, that's a good bait to go to. Tricia really picked up a couple of dandies. And they've been pitching those up on those long gravel runs, long gravel points. Some people have been dragging them, have their favorite dressing on that tail of that football jig. And some people, of course, people have also just kind of dragging it. off those gravel long points. So football jigs, that peanut butter and jelly. Well, that's it, making me hungry. That sounds good. Also at Table Rock, bass fishing is fairly good on the long drop-offs, I should say long gravel points. Look with what you can find with your electronics. Find some big schools of shad. Get out there and do some drop shotting. I've had any reports from 25, 35, even close to 40 feet of water. Other people are using the old Ned rig. I always love to use a Ned rig this time of the year. Topwater fishing continues to be pretty good for the people getting up real early. 5 o'clock, 5:15, 5:30, get out there. Pop-Rs are good. Sometimes they want that spook, walking the dog. Other times people have been sexy shad, your favorite topwater bait. They've been picking up some fish out there. And always keep a rod and reel, no matter what time of day you're out there, at your fingertips, because you never know when a school of fish will come up. And if you have that topwater handy, pop, you might pick yourself up a fish or two. By the way, they've been picking some fish up on underspins too. Sometimes they won't hit that top water, but if you have an underspin, well, maybe like a 1/4 ounce with a 3 or 4 inch shad body, pitch that out, drop it down to count of 5, 6, 7, slow roll it in. Like I said last week, that could catch you some fish. Also at the Rock up in the river arms, boy, I tell you what I love to do this time of the year is get that big old 10-inch plastic worm. We've been talking about it the last 3 weeks here on the program. It's still been productive up in the river arms, up in that new brush. Flip it out, swim it to that brush pile, let it drop, hang on. Boy, if that bass is in that brush, he's going to come out and smack it. And so plastic worms have been working pretty good. Some people are going with a 6 or 7 inch plastic worms, working at 2 in the brush. But boy, that 10-inch worm up in that river area has really been working. Few walleye been caught. I've got a photo of my buddy Scott Pingle a little bit later on at the end of the program. He caught a few over the past weekend. And we're catching some fish, but it's no big run. You're working for the walleye, but they are on the points and secondary points in around 25, maybe 28 feet of water. They've been picking up some fish using the flicker shad or flicker minnow. Some people have been picking up some fish on night crawlers, but yeah, you're working for them. But boy, it's fun when you catch a walleye anytime. All right, let's go out to Lake Taneycomo. I tell you what about Taneycomo. Down at the Power Site Dam, we were there last week, and they have a malfunction gate down there. And they're not able to close it, so the water's running 24 hours. And so what is happening, they're not able to back that water up where it should be. It should be about 4 foot higher than what it is right now. So that's creating some problems. I know down around Rockaway Beach, some of the marinas there are having real problems getting their boats in and out. And throughout the lake, you have to watch what you're doing. Be very careful because that lake has some hazard. You have to kind of keep a keen eye out. Catfished Rick and I were out this morning, and we were fishing up in the Monkey Island area. Gosh, I love the Monkey Island area. I love to throw jigs. I love to throw little trout jigs. 64th ounce, 2-pound test, pitch that out, let it drop, just swim it. But I want to tell you today, folks, I didn't do any good with that. Did not do any good, and that's unusual, very unusual. At times they are picking up fish on jigs, so don't overlook it for the upcoming weekend. But we fought it. I used some power eggs. I tried different spoons. I tried different things. But my old buddy Catfish Rick, he put on a night crawler and drifting it real slow, and look at that. Hold that up close to the camera, Rick. Good fish. He caught that on the night crawler this morning out there. Talked with a couple that were drifting also, had been out there a little bit earlier. They were from Texas, a real nice couple, and they had about their limit out there by using that night crawler. They said they always catch fish on power eggs, but not today. They had to go to the night crawlers, earthworms, and they picked up a real nice mess of fish. So look at that for the upcoming weekend. And again, the small jigs will work, but boy, when it's real bright like it was out there today, real bright, and not much of a current, that makes it awful tough fishing. But there has been some nice trout caught out at Lake Taneycomo. All right, let's go out to Bull Shoals. That water temperature out there this morning was 88 degrees. We were out there last week. I've had mixed reports. Some people are saying they're picking up some fish on top water. I had somebody email me the other day. Believe me, they're not catching any fish on top water. Well, I think they are picking up some fish, but I tell you, when they get a little bit finicky, if you're having trouble with top water, some days they don't want a whopper plopper. Some days they don't want a spook. But the go-to bait for me when it's tough on top water is the popper. I love that original popper. I've been using it for so many years. I hate to tell you how many years I've been using it, but some days those bass like a little subtle, little pop, pop, pop. And boy, this is the thing you may want to try this weekend out at Bull Shoals. Other than that, they've been dragging some of the long points, the gravel points, the rocky points, using football jigs, picking up some fish, some shaky heads as well. And they've been at Bull Shoals picking up some bass on some drop shots, and of course also on the Ned rig. Try that Ned rig. And some swim baits as well. You know, Chums was out the other day at Bull Shoals just a couple of days ago, and he picked up these nice walleye. So this just shows you that the walleye bite is on at Bull Shoals. Kind of like table work. You have to work for them. You know, they're just, you're not finding one area that's loaded. They seem to be little packs running these points and secondary points in about 25 feet of water, much like table rock. And they've been using night crawler harnesses out there, dragging the points, secondary points. Some people have been trolling that flicker shatter, flicker minnow, and they are picking up some nice walleye. And they have been picking up some good catfish. You know, I haven't heard much about that at Bull Shoals, but some cut shad. Boy, they've been really good luck this week on catfish. All right, let's go out to Stockton. You know, man, Stockton. The water temperature was 87 degrees out there today. People are saying, I can't catch anything. A lot of people are having a hard time. Well, it is tough. It is tough, but they are picking up fish. In fact, Shannon Bettis was out the other day with her husband Tim, and look at this nice walleye. 24 inches. That's a real dandy fish there, Shannon. Good going. And also, Pete Fisher. You know, Pete Fisher's he's got the right name because he's a fisher. He really catches a lot of walleye. He was out a couple of days ago and picked up these fish right off the points, the secondary points, anywhere from, I've heard 15, 20, 25 feet of water with a jig head and a half a night crawler. Some people are using that underspin like a road runner with a half a night crawler. They are picking up some walleye out there, but you have to work for them, that's for sure. And I had one other report, Billy Hunt. Look at this, he was out a couple days ago. Bill, by gosh, you were out, I think, on Sunday afternoon and picked up these nice catfish. Boy, those are good eating size right there, Billy. Billy Hunt, some good catfishing at Stockton. By the way, we've had a few reports of some crappie being caught, but it's just a few fish here and there, mainly while they're walleye fishing. And I tell you, another thing that they're doing at Stockton is really picking up some nice hand-sized bluegill. I've heard some really nice quality bluegill. What the guys are doing is going out and fishing off the bottom around 20, 25 feet of water with a little gold hook, just a split shot up above it, and like a half a night crawler. And they're really, when they do catch them, they're really nice size. So you might want to try some bluegill fishing at Stockton. All right, let's go out to Pomme de Terre. Been slow out there, no doubt about it, but they have been picking up some crappie around some docks, and they've been picking up some crappie around some of the brush piles, but here again, they're working for them. Minnow seems to be the best overall bait. And topwater fishing in the morning hours, and been fair out there for bass fishing at Pommy. Good catfishing, I understand, that time for the few people out there fishing. All right, let's go out to Truman. I want to say, hey, Ryan Waynes. Hey, Ryan, look at this big fish. Nice walleye. He was fishing one of my favorite places up out at Truman, and that is in the KK Island area. There's a lot of walleye caught out there this time of the year. Wayne, good going, and he was slow trolling a jigging night crawler and picked that fish up. But there's been several walleye caught in that area the last few days. So you may want to check out KK Island. Love that spot. Boy, you catch all kinds of fish there. White bass, hybrids, walleye. When you hit it right, man, that's a great area to fish. Also, we had a report coming out of Osage Bluff Marina. There's been some people going out there. We got some photos at the end of the program. We'll show you more photos of some walleye from the KK and the Osage Bluff area. And there's been some nice crappie caught at Truman as well. They've been going back up the Palmy area. We've talked about this the last couple of weeks. They're still doing that, getting in the willow trees and the cedar trees. That lake's still high, you know. And they're fishing from the bottom, and a lot of times in these willows and cedars, they're finding them about halfway up, maybe in 15 feet of water. Minnow seems to be the best overall bait, but they are picking up some nice fish. Other people are trolling and getting in some crappie, and other people have just been going pitching jigs up around some of the deep water trees, letting it sink, picking up crappie as well. But the main thing, the crappie fishing is getting better and better, and the fishing overall with that high water is getting more consistent at Truman out on the main lake. And of course, you want to go down below the dam, upper end of the lake, the Ozarks are picking up fish. They're still catching a lot of blue caps up there on cut shad. Somebody's drifting. Some people are drifting from the dam, the kind of dam area. And other people are anchoring and picking up fish on cut shad. And some nice blues are still being caught out there. And I tell you what, there's been some nice crappie occasionally. You know, you have to wade through the crappie below the dam at the upper end of the Lake of the Ozarks. But I'm telling you, once in a while you'll get into a school of nice fish. And they really catch some nice crappie. Okay, let's go. I think Joyce Mahaffey, I have some photos of her with a big old table of crappie that she caught later in the program. A lot of nice sized fish. All right, go Lake of the Ozarks. My gosh, guys, Lake of the Ozarks. They're catching some catfish, like I mentioned, at the upper end of Lake of the Ozarks. They're picking up some catfish throughout the lake on some of the points and secondary points. And the crappie fishing, some people have been trolling. I've talked about this the last couple of weeks on the program, trolling those brush piles on the points, secondary points, or jigging with a minnow. And those brush piles picking up some crappie. Some nice crappie have been caught at Lake of the Ozarks. It looks good for the upcoming weekend as well. And they've been picking some cats up throughout the lake as well, not only all the way up to the dam at Truman, but they've been catching some good cats throughout the lake, as I mentioned. Bass fishing's been pretty good. Topwater fishing in the early morning hours have been productive. Get out there early 30 and late evening. And they've been picking up some nice bass on topwater. Also, they've been using some swim baits out there, and they've been using some crankbaits on some of those points and secondary points. Walleye? You bet Lake of the Ozarks have walleye. Now, here's a dandy fish, guys. I've got this, I tell you, Ashton Smith was out just a few days ago, and he was fishing up in that Lynn Creek area. And look at this wall hanger. Hey, buddy. That is a big walleye. Congratulations, young man. You are a walleye fisherman for life. I promise you that. What a beautiful, beautiful fish. And so Lake of the Ozarks looks good for the upcoming weekend. Closing report from out at, let's go out at Norfolk. They've been having some pretty fair fishing in the early morning hours. That topwater fishing has increased out at Norfolk. And they have been throwing some plastic worms and picking up some bass throughout the late or mid-morning hours. A few crappie have been caught out there in the deep water brush piles, but that lake's still high. That water temperature out there this morning was 88 degrees, and they're still picking up a few stripers out there on those big spoons, getting down around 60, 65, 70 feet of water. Boy, if you hang on to one, that's a lot of fun. Well, we want to thank you very much for being with us today here on Fishing Chums. I want to thank you all again. Last week we had well over 10,000 viewers. Thank you. For the middle of July, that is awesome. And of course, our viewers on Facebook, we had a lot of viewers on Facebook. And I tell you what, we really appreciate y'all. And also, of course, on Facebook. And we have all of our groups out there. Thank you, thank you, thank you. A lot of people viewing. Getting a lot of nice comments too. Gosh, we really appreciate that. All right, I want to thank you, and be sure to like and share, and be sure to subscribe. Hey, that's always important, so you can join our team here. It doesn't cost you anything. And if you have any photos Send us some photos and any information, anything if you want to ask us questions or anything. Go to our email. Email us at fishingchums@gmail.com. Well, it's hot out. It's going to be hot up through the weekend. I think early in the week, Monday and Tuesday is supposed to be decent, so that's going to be nice. Going to cool off a little bit. But be sure to take water. Take plenty of water. Even if you're going out in the morning and fishing till noon, you're still going to need water. Okay? Hey, we have some great photos coming your way. Hey, some fun stuff. Thanks for being with us. Get out and get bit, but get out early. Roll those photos, Brandon.